All right, hi guys. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about building this interactive map of Cambodia. This is a very simple prototype of something that we developed early on. But what I want you guys to do is I want you actually to check the description below the YouTube video because we'll have a download link where you can actually get these files to experiment with. And so what I want you guys to notice is that the file will have this map that we're using, as well as the pictures of the animals, but realistically you can use any pictures you want, and these are Fauna in Focus pictures, so please don't redistribute them. This is just for practice for you guys. Um, and yeah, you can also see the full PowerPoint file there as well. This is the kind of finished one. But what I want you guys to do is make your own. So, you can use the assets and the examples here, but it's better if you make your own from scratch to practice building this kind of interactive app yourself. And so, yeah, let's get started. All right, welcome back, everybody. And in this lesson, we're going to go through hyperlinking. So hyperlinking is basically a trick that PowerPoint has to make it operate and behave more like a application or a website than an actual slideshow. And a key concept when you're designing a PowerPoint with hyperlinks is to understand the idea that you are no longer creating a presentation that has a progression of slides. The slide number doesn't matter. In a PowerPoint presentation designed around this idea, the order of the slides is less important than the organization of the slides. And so, to put that in perspective, and how you might apply this to a presentation or a document or a lesson for students or for community members, is that these presentations done in this way allow for much greater audience participation. And so you can basically navigate the PowerPoint presentation at the direction of your students or your participants. And so it's not linear, it's exploration based. And as proven many times over, exploration and discovery and inquiry based learning are crucially important when it comes to education and changing people's knowledge and attitude on any subject for that matter. And so when we design lessons and activities and programs, most of our lessons are actually designed around interactive media-based presentations like this. Now, this is a prototype. This is actually an early prototype. We've improved upon this, but it's one that I thought would be useful for practicing on. And so what this is this is just an interactive map of Cambodia's various ecosystems. And in many ways, you can direct certain parts of the slideshow and then allow it to be more exploration based. And so let's just take a look at this before we start explaining how this is done via hyperlinks. So we'll start with this and we'll just explore how this works. So this is actually our kind of first slide here. And when we're ready, we click explore. And so then we transition to this slide. All right. And so now we've got a map of Cambodia along with some wildlife there. And so watch what happens when I click on any of these animals. So the animals get bigger. We have a little highlighted area of the name of the ecosystem. You'll have to ignore this. This is, as I said, this was a prototype, so this is not finalized at all. This is just to test out an idea and see how it works. And then we present this to students and to donors and see if we can't find funding to expand upon this idea. So here we're seeing various animals that are found along the northern plains. If I click here, we're seeing Tonle Sap Lake and the floodplains, and so the animals that live around here. Here we've got these are not cloud forests, this is the Mekong River. Here we've got the eastern rainforests, eastern plains landscape. Here we've got, we did this already, here we've got the central lowlands, so Prelong. Here we've got the lower Mekong Delta. We've got coastal mangroves, and so it's highlighting like not only some species that live there, but also it's showing you where in Cambodia you might find these, like coral reefs. So those are kind of similar locations, but not the same. Here we've got the Cardamom Mountains. And so obviously it's not showing you every single animal and where it is, but this is a nice visual way of allowing people to explore and learn on their own, right? And select what they're interested in and look at areas that they're interested in and learn. And so from any of these slides, I can click on any animal, any picture, and they become color, they become bigger, and they show me where they're found, right? You could even change the color of this landscape if you wanted. And then from any of these selections, you can also click on this Explore button, and it's going to pop up with this little pop-in. Now, as you can see, this is like none of this text is finalized, so you can imagine that this would actually be related to the Cardamom Mountains, right? I think all of these text elements right now are just copy and pasted from the same thing. And as you can see, it pops up with this little pop-in that comes in from the side. And then at the bottom, we have Discover Wildlife. So actually, if you click on this, it's going to slide over to another slide that will allow you to explore the wildlife from that area. And so I don't believe that this is done, but each of these should actually pull you over to a species fact sheet that looks like this. Now, obviously, this is not finished yet, right? This is a tiger. This isn't a dolphin, and that's not a banteng. But you get the idea, right? So there's, and then if you go back, it brings you back here, and then you can again just start clicking on the animals again. So there's a lot of cool things that you could do from this layout, and this is all done using transitions and hyperlinks. And so I'm going to help you guys go through to understand how this is done. So to begin with, the first thing we need to do in a situation like this is we need to lay down our map and put down our images where we want them to be. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a blank slideshow on one side here, and you'll notice that this map is not clickable. And that's because, as mentioned in previous ones, I'm using the Slide Master, and that's where I'm doing most of my real work. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this down here, but actually, I'm actually going to paste this into its own Slide Master thing. So I'm going to go to View, Slide Master. We'll create a new, we'll create a new layout, insert layout. I'm going to erase everything and paste that map there. And why don't I, aha! So look at what I've done here. To get that color that I wanted, I actually have a white box on top of an image, right? So now to get both of those, I'm just going to select them like so, and I'll paste them over here, and then we can align them on top of each other and send to back and send to back. And there we go. Now we've recreated that. There's a little white box at the bottom there that I don't know what that is. There we go. And you could, if you wanted this to be a different style, we can make this, orange color, or we can make it black, and so we can have a different look going on, right? And all of this is done inside the Slide Master. So this is just giving us this background effect, right? So let's go ahead and make this white. Oops, not the shape fill. We want the text fill. So format. Let's go full screen here. Make text fill white. And let's go to make the text a bit, all of the text a bit transparent. So we'll set it to 75%, I guess. There we go. So I can now go to View, Slide Master, and we're all good on that. So everything is fine. So let's go close the Slide Master. And now I'm going to set that to that layout. So I'm going to right click and go to Custom Layout. And now nothing here is clickable. If I press Control A, there's nothing to select. It's all kind of embedded into the background, which is what we want. And so then the next step here would be to get your pictures in. And so in this case, I'm just going to, oh, whoops. I just realized that I moved the master layout around here. So I'm actually just going to Control A to select all the images there. Then I'll just paste them over here. And so you would have to put these in yourself, whatever image you decide to use, and you just position them where you want them. And now here's a big trick. I'm going to go ahead and remove these hyperlinks on all these images, just so that I can explain something to you that is important. And this will also help you save time when you're dealing with hyperlinks, because you do have to plan ahead a little bit with how your hyperlinks are going to work. All right. Okay, I got that one. Let's get that one almost done here. Yep, got you. Remove hyperlink, remove link, remove link, remove link, and remove link. All right, so now nothing here goes anywhere. These are not hyperlinks anymore. They're just images. They're also black and white images, but they're actually, that's just a PowerPoint setting. So that's just using this color effect. I can get them back to their full color that easily. All right. So I want to encourage people to click on these little buttons. So let's go ahead and I'm going to make the outline a little bit thicker. So we'll change the outline weight over here. And maybe we'll even give it a little bit of color. We'll give it like a light blue color, something like that. There we go, like almost white. And maybe it can even be a little bit thicker in this case. So now we've got these little buttons, right, that want to be pushed. And you'll notice that they each have a shadow. Now adding a shadow, drop-down shadow to buttons really helps it be clear that this is something that people can push. If you have none on it, it kind of looks a little bit flat, but those little shadow effect makes it look like a little clickable button, and that's what we want people to think. So the problem here is that we have no pages to hyperlink to. So I need to go ahead and copy this page and paste it like that. And now I have one page, but I don't want to copy all of these images because they're not done yet. So I'm just going to take this blank page. So I just selected Control A to select all and delete, right? And so now I've got a totally blank page, and now I can paste one for each group of animals. So I'm going to decide, okay, we've got northern plains, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ecosystems. So I need 11 pages. There we go. So I've got my first one plus 11 more pages. All right. And so now that I've done that, now I can set up my hyperlinks. And so I know that these three animals are going to be in the same ecosystem, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select each one, and I'm going to go to hyperlink. So to do this, there's a few ways you can do it as usual. But my preferred method is just to right-click it and go to hyperlink. Now in hyperlink, you have a few options. The first is you can go to an existing file or a web page online. And that's very useful if you wanted to, for example, have a button that says download now, and you could have it link directly to a Google Drive folder where somebody could download a specific file that you want to share with them. You could have learn more on our website, and you could have a button from your PowerPoint that links directly to a related page on your website where they can learn more about that particular project. There's so many options for using hyperlinks within your PowerPoint in this regard. You know, donate now, and it brings them straight to your donation page. Learn more, download this file, you know, watch this video online. There's so many things you can do using a hyperlink like that, and you can put it into anything, a picture, a button, text, anything you want. Or you can have it open another file. So right here it says existing file. If you wanted to put it to a website, you would just type here and just start typing the name of the website or copy and paste it. And that would work to that would bring them to a website. Now the more useful function is place in this document. And so with place in this document, you have a few options. You have first slide and last slide. That is literally slide number 1 and slide number whatever the last slide is. And that will always be the same. So these are not so useful unless your first slide is definitely a slide that you are going to keep as a very particular number 1 introduction slide. The more useful ones are next and previous. And so next, if you're on slide number 3, next will go to slide number 4. Previous, if you're on slide number 4, previous will go to slide number 3. And then finally you have the slide numbers. And so this is more useful, right? You can just tell it, oh, this hyperlink is going to go exactly to slide number what. So in this case, we don't want to go next. We want to set this one to a very specific slide number, and we're going to say it's number 2, right? And so we'll make that one our first group of animals. So slide number 2 is what we want. Now, who else is up there in the northern parts of Cambodia? We also have the giant ibis, so we'll go to hyperlink, slide number 2. And the vultures are also in the northern plains. We'll go to hyperlink, slide number 2. And so now, as you can see, just by hovering the mouse over those, we can see that all 3 of those have been hyperlinked. So slide number 2 is going to be our northern plains, right? This is why I say this planning is involved. So let's do Tonle Sap. So let's say that these, you know what, in this case, we'll do these 2 as Tonle Sap floodplains. So I'm going to hyperlink them to slide number 3. And you have to do this one by one, unfortunately. I don't think there's a way to hyperlink both at the same time. All right, let's make the Mekong River number 4. So these will be our dolphins and our fish. See, you can't hyperlink all 3 at once. You got to go one by one. The great thing about what we're doing here is we only have to do this one time, right? And this is why I say planning is important. All right, so now as you can see on our first slide, we've got this one. That's slide number 2. This is slide number 3. So let's go, we'll do Prey Long. This is going to be slide number 5. The Eastern Plains will be slide number 6. Rainforests in Gausema will be slide number 7. Virache will be slide number 8. Floodplains will be 9. Mangroves will be, oops, one by one. Hyperlink to slide 10. Hyperlink to slide 10. Reefs will be slide 11. And I calculated correctly, number 12 will be the Cardamom Mountains. Again, I have to go one by one, hyperlink to slide 12. Okay, we are done. And that's it. We never have to do that again. Doesn't matter if we have 100 pages in this document. We're done. We've done it the one time that we need to do it, and you can see it didn't take that long. Now, the reason that I wouldn't now just copy this page and paste this page is that these hyperlinks wouldn't work to this page. Nothing would be linking to slide 2. When you create hyperlinks, they are dynamic. So if I add new slides in here, right, as many as I want, those hyperlinks that I created, they're now adjusting, right? So that thing that I had hyperlinked to slide number 2 is now slide number 6, right? So all of these new pages that I added are actually nothing. So I'm going to undo all of that. And so instead of creating new pages or copying and pasting this page with all the hyperlinks, I'm going to select just the images, and I'm going to copy those. And now I can just quickly come and paste them to every page. And the reason this is important is because now every single page has images with the correct hyperlinks to them, and it doesn't matter which page you are on, the hyperlinks are the same. And I didn't have to do this manually 100 times. I mean, this would have taken forever if you had to hyperlink every page separately. So do it one time and do it correctly and plan it out. And if you have to make a mistake, if you make a mistake and you have to change something, the easiest way is to just erase everything and change it the one time and repaste everything again. So let's say, for example, I wanted to add another animal. Well, it would be really annoying to go, you know, let's say I decide I want to add one more animal over here in, I don't know, Antropeng Timor. I want to add the Eld's deer, right? So let's go ahead and change the picture. I'm not going to use a real Eld's deer for now. I'm just going to search deer. Let's find one that looks somewhat like an Eld's deer. Do I have any Eld's deer similarities? Not really. I guess that's caribou, but all right, we're just going to pretend that this dude's an Eld's deer. It's not an Eld's deer, but we're just going to pretend for now. All right, so let's get rid of this photo credit as well, just temporarily. All right, now let's go ahead and change the color. We'll go to the black and white to match everything else, and I'm going to remove the hyperlink. So now I've got this deer, but he's only showing up on this one slide, and he's not on all the other ones, right? The other problem is that he's not hyperlinked. So the first thing I need to do is make him a page, right? So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste one of these pages. That's fine now because all the hyperlinks are correct. However, the deer is not there. So let's go to the deer. We're going to hyperlink him to slide number 13, and then we can copy and paste that deer across everything. And so you can see how planning this out properly at the beginning would save you time. If you make sure that you have all of your animals selected on all the pages the first time, you don't have to bother with this again. And so now everything should be correct, right? So the deer is showing up on all the... Oh, he's not showing... There he is. Paste. So yeah, it's just a simple matter of pasting it across all the slides. And so that's basically the technique if you wanted to change... to add a different animal to something like this, or make a change. One big thing that's very annoying is doing something like this, right? If I wanted to move the position of an animal, now he's moving on that one slide. So again, I'd have to copy it. I'd have to go here, delete the old one, paste the new one, delete the old one, paste the new one, and so on all the way down. So that's why it's important to kind of get it right the first time to save yourself the trouble and the hassle. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to make these effects more noticeable. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to slide number 2, which I believe is our Northern Plains slide. And so the first thing we'll do is let's just go ahead and add some text that says Northern Plains. We'll make it white, we'll make it nice and big, and we'll put it there for now. Let's find a better looking font. Boom. Okay. So now we've got Northern Plains, and watch what I'm just going to do. I'm going to just paste that across all of them just to save myself time, so it's in the exact same position every time. And these are the kind of little tricks that will save you time in the long run, right? I don't have to put the text box in exactly the same place every time. So let's go to our Northern Plains slide. So where is it? Number 2. So slide number 2, we're here. So I'm going to select my Northern Plains animals. The first thing I'm going to do is make everything bigger. So while holding Shift, I'm going to click up on the keyboard 3 times. Now, if I don't click Shift and I just press up, they move up. That's not what we want. All right? Sorry, I undid too much there. So by holding Shift, I can increase the size of these things, and it's going to increase them at the same rate, which is very useful. If I go over to Format, you can see the size are increasing. I could also just set it to a size, so I could say like 1 by 1 if I wanted them to be 1 inch, right? So you can set whatever size you want if you want them to be consistent across everything. But you'll notice that when setting the size using that method, it's moving them from their central point, right? They're no longer centered. If I hold Shift and I press up on the keyboard, they stay perfectly centered on their position, and that's what I want. The next thing I'm going to do, with all 3 selected, you'll notice that color is still an option. So this is something that I can change with all 3 selected. So I'm going to enable their default color. And for the border, I'm going to change it to this, let's say, a nice orange color, and we'll make it even thicker. So the picture border weight will set to, I'll set to that. And then I might even make this text match, just to have that be a little bit of consistency across the design. So maybe Northern Plains will pull that color. All right, looking pretty good. So let's go to the next one. What is our next one? Slide 3 looks like Tonle Sap Lake. So I have to remember, how many times did I click for these guys to get them bigger? Shift 1, 2, 3. I think I did it 3 times, but I'll double check. The final size that we ended up with here was, oops. I lost my color. There we go. So the final size that we ended up with these guys is 0.81. Now that should be something that's easy to check. So again, I just select here. I'm going to hold Shift. 1, 2, 3. I think it was 4, but I can check. Format 0.73. No, it was 5. There we go. 0.81. So it was 5 clicks upward. My border is going to become thicker. I went to size 4.5, and it's Tonle Sap Lake, so we can give it a bluer border. Let's do this nice blue, and we'll make that Northern Plains now match that nice blue, and we'll set it to Tonle Sap Lake. There we go. Oh, and I have to change the color, so Format, Color, Full Color. And so now let's just go to the first slide, and let's see how this plays out. Oh, I see I've made a mistake. So you'll notice that those have animations, which means now every slide is going to have an animation. That's not what we want. So that is a perfect example of not planning ahead. So the way we're going to get rid of that is animation, animation pane. Now on the first slide, it's not a problem. That's no problem. But now I would have to go through and delete all of these like so, painstakingly on every single slide. So you can do that, but again, if you plan correctly, on this slide, I should have, before I changed the color, I should have removed the animation and then pasted them to all my other slides. That is a perfect example of something that I've done many times. And, you know, it doesn't waste a lot of time. Like, this isn't going to take forever, but in a larger document with more slides, this could be a big waste of time, right? So again, you know, if you don't want an animation on something, we needed those hyperlinks done here. I do want the animations on the first pane, but not on every other pane. So I should have removed the animations on slide number 2 and then continued copying that one and pasting that one down from there. So that was my mistake. Learn from my mistakes. Don't make that mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all of those animations painstakingly, but luckily it's not the end of the world to take this time. And luckily I'm getting rid of all the animations, so it makes it nice and easy. I can just click over here, Control A, and delete. So click over here, Control A, and delete. Click over here in the animation pane, Control A, and delete. And that's it. We're done. So let's see how it looks. All right, let's select our Northern Plains animals. There they get nice and big. Let's select our Tonle Sap Lake animals. There, they get nice and big. The text changes, and back and forth. And we can do this forever, right? So that's pretty cool. And now notice these other ones, they are linking, but we haven't changed the slide yet, so it doesn't look any different. So we can't see that we're jumping around to different slides here, but we actually are. So all of these would link. You can tell it's linking because the mouse changes to a different icon when there's a hyperlink. It changes to a little finger. And this will work with touch or with a mouse, which is very useful. Alright, so let's move on. Now remember, we can't just add things willy-nilly, so we have to make sure to remember what's what. So I think slide 4, as you can see, is our Mekong River group. So I'm going to select this group. I'm on slide 4. And so now we can adjust this to match. So Mekong River, we'll make it a darker blue. Set this outline, and we'll have this say Mekong River. Good. And we'll have it match that dark blue. Let's move on. So this is slide 5. What is slide 5? Slide 5 is, where are you? Slide 5 is Prelong. So we can make you a nice jungle green. Nice jungle green. And do we get the size already? Yes, 0.81. That's correct. The border weight needs to be bigger. And the color needs to be full again. Oh, I forgot to change the color for the Mekong River. Format, color, full color. There we go. Did I do color there? Yes. And there, yes. Okay. All right. So slide number 6. What's that? Slide 6 is going to be Eastern Plains landscape. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make it this yellow color. And we'll make it big. And we'll do, where are you? There you go. Eastern Plains. And what's next? Slide 7 is gonna be the rainforest again. So we'll do another green color. Oops, that's the shape fill. I need shape outline. I'll do that green. Oops, no, not shape outline. Text. There we go, and we'll call this okay. Alright, that's slide 7. What's slide 8? Slide 8 is going to be Firache. Make that one blue. And big outline. I'll just call this one Northeastern Rainforests for now. And the color again. If you don't remember which color you use, you can always do something like that. Alright, 9, where are you? 9 is going to be the Mekong Delta. Let's make this a nice warm reddish color. We have another, we can choose from more colors over here. Let's kind of match the Saris crane's head color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going up. And again, I'm holding shift so that those are going up in designated increments. I forgot to change the picture color again. I think for the previous ones, yes, format, color, full color. Elephant gets format, color, full color. And leopard gets format, color, full color. There we go. All right, and let's make a delta. We'll make that match. There we go. All right, we're almost done here. 10 is going to be the mangroves. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here we have a problem. Now we got a bit of an overlap. Now in this case, they're close enough that a small movement shouldn't make that much of a difference, and you will see why later. So first let's get the outline correctly so we can see exactly where they are, and we're going to make them move a little bit further apart. We'll go full color on them, and we'll change the border to a blue. Mangroves. Okay. Coastal mangroves. And then we've got 11, slide 11. So I'm always checking that my button is going to the slide that I want it to be, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shape outline is going to be thicker, and the color will be, we'll do a purple. We'll do a lighter purple this time. That looks nice. And again, now that color is saved, so it can just go there. Coral reefs. And full color on this image. And then we'll do I think the Cardamom Mountains is now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I've got some overlap here, so we're going to have to deal with that. So first we'll do the shape outline, we'll do the weight, and we'll do number 4. And again, I can move these a little bit, and you'll see why that's okay soon. So let's go to full color. We'll make them a lime green. Cardamom Mountains. Thing. And the last one is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are not Elsdeer, Elsdeer. So shape outline will be here. We'll set it to this pinkish color, orangish color. We'll recolor the image to be full color, and we'll call it ATT. Grasslands. Something like that. All right. So let's just go through and make sure our hyperlinks are working properly. We'll start from slide 1, and we'll just click around. Just click on everything. Make sure it's all jumping nicely. Looks pretty good. Yep. So everything is getting bigger, it's getting colorful, it's getting clickable. And we can't check every single link, but you can pretty much... Oops. Did I see a mistake in there? No, I think it's okay. Right. So what we have to do now is make the transition look better. So we already did our lesson on transitions. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the bottom one. I'm going to come all the way up to the top one. I'm going to go to transition, and I'm going to select morph. And I'm going to set the duration of the morph to 1 second, and this will apply automatically to all the slides. And so now, when I start this slideshow, I get my first animations, and now everything I click is going to have this nice subtle transition. And this is why it doesn't matter so much if these things are moving. You see how these overlaps? They're moving away from their current spot, but because we're using the morph transition, it's less noticeable. And so this is a great way to make your presentations look a lot more alive, is using this morph transition. So that's kind of the first introduction to hyperlinks. This is kind of a useful feature. Let's just do one other thing, because there's some situations in which you might want some additional options. And so, for example, let's go ahead and just quickly insert a little home icon and a back icon. So let's insert this home one, and let's insert, oops, hang on, sorry. Insert icons. So we want home. Let's take that one, and we also want a back icon. So we'll use this one, and we'll rotate it a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and make these graphics white, and let's set them to 1/2 inch. I'm going to delete that old one. I'm going to put my home button here, and I'm going to put my back icon rotated to the right up here. So the home icon, I'm actually going to set to always hyperlink to the first slide. However, the back icon, I'm going to hyperlink it not to the previous slide, but I'm actually going to hyperlink it to the last slide viewed, and that's not quite the same, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to start by hyperlinking this to the previous slide. All right, so let's go previous slide for this. Now that we've got that, hang on, I'm going to remove this text here. It's in my way. I'm going to go View, Slide Master. We're going to just delete this text, or maybe we'll just put it in the center. That's better. There we go. Okay, and see that affects every single slide now, right? Because I've got it on the Slide Master. So let's put this guy up here in the top right, and we'll put this guy matching up there in the top left. And now I'm just going to copy them to every single slide. So super easy. And again, if you plan this out ahead, then you could have just had this already ready to go. So when you duplicated your pages, they already came. So now, on any single slide, if I'm clicking around through my little page here, and I'm navigating around and I click on home, it's going to bring me back to that first slide, right? Let's go ahead and put a nice morph animation on that one as well. So transition, morph. There we go. All right, here's our opening slide. We got our animations. And now wherever we click, we've got a nice transition. Looks great, looks great, looks great. And when we go home, it just goes back to that first #1 slide, right? However, let's look here. I'm over here on the leopard, and now I'm going to click on the elephant. Now watch what happens if I click. Oh, no, that's a bad example. All right, let me click on the leopard again. So I'm clicking on the leopard, and now I'm going to click on the deer. Okay, now what do you think happens if I click on this back button? Well, intuition would say it's going to go back to the leopard slide, but look what happens. It goes to Cardamom Mountains. And that's because we used the previous slide hyperlink option here, right? Previous slide. And so when we selected the deer, we're on slide number 13. And previous brings us to slide number 12, always. It doesn't matter what slide number you are on, using the option to go to the previous slide will actually just bring you back one slide in your slide order. And in this case, the slide order doesn't matter. I want that button to go to the back to the previous slide that I was looking at just before this, not to the previous slide in the slideshow. You see the difference? It's a big difference. And so to change that, I'm actually, instead of using this option, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go to Insert, Action. And so Insert is where you can also add a hyperlink, but that'll just pull up this same menu. So I'm going to go to Insert Action, which is a little bit more advanced. So now you can do actions on mouse click or even on mouse over. So when the mouse is going over it, this won't work with touchscreens, obviously, but you can even have certain effects if you just move the mouse over that. So on the mouse click, I'm going to hyperlink to, so it's still using that hyperlink, but now you have much more options. And so this is the key option right here, is last slide viewed. And so when I click on this, what this means is it's going to take me to the last slide I was looking at before coming to this slide, regardless of what slide number we're on. So I'm going to copy that action, and I'm going to remove these and paste this across all of my slides. So I have my action, my new action for look at previous slide viewed. All right. Oops. Now notice if I paste it and it's already in the same spot, it won't go in the same spot. So I need to make sure to delete the first one first. You guys learned that in an earlier lesson. Okay, and so now from our opening slide, let's click around, make sure everything is working as normal. Yes. Yes. I think I clicked outside of the link there on the last slide. So that's my last slide, and I clicked in the empty spot, so it ended the show. I'll show you how to get rid of that at the end. So here we go. So yeah, now we're clicking around through. And so now I'm going to click on the leopard. Then I'm going to go over to the deer, which we know is the last slide in the presentation. And now I'm going to click back and watch what happens. It goes back to the leopard. And so if we exit this, we can see that leopard is slide number 6. So that back button, just because it was set to hyperlink to the last slide viewed, jumped all the way from slide 13 to slide 6. Let's try another experiment. So this time, let's go from the given to the deer. And now there's only one slide with the deer, and this button is the same. But now when I go back, it goes back to the given. And so if I go back here to the deer, and then I go to the Sarus crane and to the deer, if I go back from the deer, it's going to the Sarus crane. You see how that back button works? It makes much more sense for people. Back is intuitive. People like to see back. The only downside of it is that if you keep going back, it just goes back and forth between the two slides. That is a slight downside of this of PowerPoint's hyperlinking. All right, and then the last thing to show about hyperlinking is in a slide like this, in a slideshow like this, you might not want people to click next on the keyboard. And so if I click next on the keyboard, I'm actually just progressing through the order of slides. And a part of that is when you get to the end, or if you just click anywhere in the slide, it progresses the slideshow to the next slide, even if I'm not using the hyperlinks. And of course, when you get to the end, what happens is your slideshow ends just like it normally would, and then boom. Now we don't want this to happen. So the way we're going to get around that is we're going to go to slideshow, we're going to go to setup show, and this is the biggest trick here, is browsed at kiosk. And so what this will do is it will lock it into a full screen mode, and there is no progressing of slides using the next or just clicking. You have to use hyperlinks to navigate through a kiosk slideshow mode. And so this would be great if you had a presentation up at an event where people could learn about your project by clicking on various buttons. That's much more likely that they're going to look at that is if it's interactive and they can actually learn and explore and do things on their own. Of course, and you'll notice another thing is it says loop continuously until escape. So even if you're using the presenter mode, if you click on loop, then it will never get to that end. It'll just go back to slide number 1. So that's another option as well. But personally, I would recommend setting it to kiosk mode if you're using hyperlinks to navigate around some sort of presentation like this. All right, and so that's the final trick. And then in the end, you'd want to make sure you save it, give it a nice name. So we'll do test interactive PPT. And I'm going to go browse for a location to save this. So I'll just save it on my desktop for now. Test. Okay. Oops. There we go. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up our lesson on hyperlinks and making interactive presentations. All of this presentation that I've put together so far you're welcome to explore it and practice with it yourself. This is a great way to engage your audiences in your presentation. So please do use it as much as you can. All right. Best of luck. Cheers.